She had just finished a long shift at the hospital, exhausted but proud of the lives she touched that day. But before she could even make it home, flashing lights appeared in her rearview mirror. A cop pulled her over, not for speeding, not for breaking any law, but for something much darker. What started as routine quickly turned hostile, leaving her dignity, her safety, and even her life hanging in the balance. But what happened next didn't just shock her, it shocked everyone watching. It had been another long day at the hospital, the kind where every second felt like a battle. For Angela, being a nurse wasn't just a job, it was her calling. She had spent over 12 hours on her feet, comforting patients, calming worried families, and rushing from room to room with a calm strength that only those who truly cared could carry. By the time she clocked out, the sky was painted in soft shades of orange and purple, and all she wanted was the peace of home. Angela slid into her car, still in her scrubs, a reminder of her dedication and sacrifice. She thought about her mother, who had always told her, "Your kindness will change lives, but not everyone will see it." At that moment, she didn't know just how true those words would soon become. The streets were quiet as she drove, the hum of the engine her only companion. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed headlights trailing closely behind. At first, she brushed it off, just another driver on the road. Yet, when the flashing red and blue lights ignited, her stomach dropped. She hadn't been speeding, hadn't broken a single rule. Still, her heart raced. What she didn't know was that this stop would not be about broken laws or traffic violations. It would be about something much deeper and far more dangerous. Angela pulled her car safely to the side of the road, her hands tightening on the steering wheel. The flashing lights behind her reflected in the rearview mirror, casting red and blue shadows across her tired face. She took a deep breath, reminding herself she had nothing to fear. She had broken no law. But deep down, a knot of unease twisted in her stomach. The officer approached slowly, each step deliberate. His hand rested near his holster as though he expected trouble. Angela rolled down her window, her hospital ID badge still dangling from her scrubs. She hoped he would see her for what she was, a nurse who had just finished saving lives. Instead, his eyes narrowed. "Where are you coming from?" he asked sharply, his tone less like a question and more like an accusation. Angela explained, calmly, her voice steady, that she was leaving the hospital. But the officer's suspicion only seemed to deepen. He glanced at her car, peered at her hands, and ordered her to step out. Her heart pounded as she obeyed, the cool night air hitting her skin. She felt exposed, vulnerable, standing on the roadside under the harsh beam of his flashlight. He began to question her about drugs, about stolen property, about things so absurd. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. Angela's voice cracked with disbelief as she answered, but he didn't seem to care. To him, her scrubs weren't a symbol of service. They were irrelevant. To him, she was just another. Blackface to interrogate. Cars began to slow as drivers passed, some craning their necks to watch. Angela's cheeks burned with humiliation, but worse than that was the fear growing inside her. She had seen the news, heard the stories. Encounters like this didn't always end with words. The officer's voice grew louder, more demanding, as though he was trying to provoke her into reacting. Angela kept her composure, her hands raised slightly to show she posed no threat. But inside, her mind raced. Would this end safely? Or would she become another headline? Each passing second felt heavier, the tension suffocating. She prayed silently that someone, anyone, would step in before things went too far. What happened next would change everything. The officer's questions turned into accusations, his voice sharp and commanding. He ordered Angela to place her hands on the hood of her car. Her heart thundered in her chest as she obeyed, the cold metal biting into her palms. She tried to reason with him, explaining again that she was a nurse, even showing her hospital ID. But he dismissed it with a scoff, his suspicion unmoved. Then came the words she had feared most. "Don't move. I'm calling for backup." Angela froze, her breath quickening. Backup. That meant more officers, more eyes that might see her not as a woman in scrubs, not as a professional who had just spent the day saving lives, but as a threat. She felt a chill run through her body, the weight of countless tragic stories pressing down on her shoulders. As the officer paced around her car, shining his flashlight inside, Angela noticed phones being raised. Drivers who had slowed earlier were now stopping, recording. Strangers, unseen until now, began to gather at a safe distance. Murmurs filled the air. Questions whispered. Why is she being treated this way? What did she do? The officer seemed to grow tense under the spotlight of those cameras. His hand lingered near his weapon, but his eyes flickered with unease. The silence of the crowd was broken by a firm voice. Someone shouted, "She's a nurse! Leave her alone!" Others echoed, their voices rising together, their presence a shield Angela hadn't expected. For a moment, time felt suspended. Angela's fear mixed with relief, but the danger was far from over. The officer's face hardened, his pride challenged, his authority questioned. Would he back down, or would he escalate? The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see if this night would end in tragedy or injustice. The tension finally broke when another patrol car arrived, but this time it wasn't to back the officer up. One of the new officers recognized Angela. He had seen her at the hospital just days earlier when she cared for his injured cousin. His voice carried authority as he stepped between Angela and the aggressive cop. "She's a nurse," he said firmly. "I know her. She just finished her shift." The crowd erupted with relief, their cameras still recording every second. The first officer stiffened, his expression hard to read, but the pressure was undeniable. With witnesses, cameras, and even a fellow officer calling him out, he could no longer justify his behavior. Slowly, he stepped back, muttering something under his breath before retreating to his car. Angela stood there trembling, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. She had done nothing wrong, yet she had been treated like a criminal. Her life hanging in the balance over nothing more than the color of her skin. As the crowd dispersed, a woman placed a gentle hand on Angela's shoulder and whispered, "We saw everything. You're not alone." Those words, though simple, carried weight. That night, Angela made it home, but not unchanged. The encounter would stay with her, etched into her memory as a reminder of a reality too many face. It wasn't just her story, it was the story of countless others who never got the chance to walk away. And so the question remains, how many more lives must be shattered before justice truly means the same for everyone? If this story moved you, don't let it stop here. Share it, talk about it, and let it be a reminder that silence only fuels injustice. Stories like Angela's happen far too often, and the more we shine a light on them, the harder they are to ignore. What do you think? Will change ever come? Or will history keep repeating itself? Let me know in the comments below. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful true stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay compassionate, and never stop demanding justice.